a lot of points. That's got to be a luxury for Coach Mike Hopkins to have that much experience coming back.
For the Hilltoppers, they turn to a freshman. How about classy Charles Bassey?
Boy, he is sensational. A lot of high hopes for this young man. Great NBA body, but has some development to do. But he'll definitely be a major factor for this team.
Western Kentucky in the red uniforms will start with possession. Washington, number 25 in the nation, with the white uniforms and the purple trim. The Hilltoppers went 27-11 last year and are picked to finish first in Conference USA play this year, whereas Washington went 21-13 in their head coach Mike Hopkins' debut season last year, with really the surprise of the Pac-12, and they won't be a surprise this year.
They are not going to sneak up on anybody, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there right now. This is my pick to win the Pac-12 conference right here, the Washington Huskies.
You don't waste any time, do you?
Get on it early. Hey.
Stand your ground. I like it. So Western Kentucky, a tough road matchup to start the season. And really, it's going to be a battle of the big men down low. We weren't expecting to see Sam Timmins, the junior from New Zealand, start the game for Washington, but with Bassey out there, that's what Washington has to do to match up with him. As you see, head coach for Western Kentucky, Rick Stansberry, in his third season. 17 years as a head coach overall, but with the Hilltoppers has gone 42-28, and he runs a very disciplined group. What they want to avoid tonight, though, and he told us earlier, is they want to avoid allowing Washington to get out in transition and score easy buckets early, because he's still trying to figure out what he has in his team. Yeah,
when you have a young team and you don't have the experience, you want to make sure that ball security is job number one. Can't come on the road and turn it over and give up easy baskets, especially in a hostile environment like this. So he wants his guys to play solid from the tip.
Jalen Noel had that shot tipped by Bassey, and Timmins, the junior from New Zealand, is there for the first bucket of the evening. Mike Hopkins, a 22-year assistant for Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, and you see he has brought the 2-3 zone all the way across the country to UW.
And they've adapted to it. Washington very active in that zone, hands in the passing lane. Matisse Thybulle out front trying to get steals.
Thybulle picks up his first foul, the defending Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. As you see, the defending Pac-12 Coach of the Year in his second season. Mike Hopkins has recruited well and has gotten the most out of the players he's inherited in his first two seasons.
And inheriting players after they've been coached a certain way for a number of seasons isn't always an easy task. You got to put in a new system, and they've taken to it very well here in Washington.
The zone forcing Savage to take a long three-point attempt. And a young team for Western Kentucky as they pick up a foul on the defensive end. Coach Stansberry told us, you don't see the zone very often, so it's going to take us some time to get our sea legs under us.
The reason zones are so effective is they cause players to slow down, and you have to basically analyze what's going on, and it takes away that little bit of aggression where you have to plan a little bit better.
Good bucket underneath for Washington. As David Crisp, the senior, one of 4 seniors on this team, makes it a 4-0 game. It was Bassey who picked up the foul for Western Kentucky a moment ago. A block inside. Matisse Thybulle already showing you why he won the Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12 and is one of the all-time greats in the conference in steals. As long and lengthy, and really has settled into that zone nicely.
Well, basically, what makes him a great defender is his anticipation, knowing when shots and passes are about to happen.
That's the freshman Delano Banton picking up the foul. You see Thybulle, 205 steals in his career. If he breaks the 300 mark by getting about 95 steals this year, him and Gary Payton, the only other 2 in Pac-12 history to do that.
Mighty fine company up there with Gary the Glove Payton.
And inside, a big block by Marek Nelson, leading to a transition offense for Western Kentucky and a foul.
And right here, you talk about Matisse Thybulle in the middle of that zone, anticipating, and here's a penetration. You can't come with the finger roll. Got to be above the rim. Great play right there by the Hilltoppers.
So already Thybulle, though, has to take a seat on the bench. 2 fouls.
2 fouls. He's very active. They put him in the middle out at the top of that zone, and he creates a lot of havoc. But right there, picking up some cheap fouls.
That's just too easy. Merrick Nelson, the sophomore from Plano, Texas, who drew that foul on Thibault, gets rewarded with the easy bucket, the first field goal of the game for Western Kentucky. 2.5 minutes in here in the first half, and an offensive foul underneath Noah Dickerson. Corey, we haven't talked a whole lot about him, but he is really the anchor for this team. And he picks up the foul there, and then the early whistle at the beginning of the game that kind of had everybody confused was actually a double flagrant foul that Dickerson picked up for Washington and Nelson picked up for Western Kentucky. So now Dickerson has to take a seat on the bench.
And that's tough because Noah Dickerson's one of the biggest, strongest players on the floor. So he's posting up very aggressively, trying to pin guys behind him. And right now he's got to take a seat with 2 fouls that he picked up on the offensive end of the floor.
So now it's Thibault and Dickerson, both on the bench as Bassey plants himself on the low block.
The cat's away, the mice will play. The freshman Bassey with an easy deuce, looking to score a little bit now with Dickerson on the bench.
Bassey, number 18 in the ESPN 100 for the class of 2018. He actually reclassified to get into that class. He was rated even higher for the class of 2019. As Sam Timmons muscles his way inside, Bassey the rebound. And now Western Kentucky wants to push. Tough shot for Nelson as he was falling away. This is an opportunity now with Thibault and Dickerson on the bench for Western Kentucky to play their pace and maybe have an early lead here on the road.
Right here, great ball movement by the Hilltoppers. They get the ball inside, will drop off to the big fella, and he knows what to do. And at the other end, if you don't get him on the body and get some separation, he gets off the floor so fast. Great timing, big time block there by Bassey.
Second foul on Delano Banton. No points for him. 4 fouls on both teams. As David Crisp, senior from Tacoma, Washington, playing the point for the Huskies. Dominic Green out there now in those flashy gold sneakers. As Crisp dumps it off inside. Timmons wasn't ready for it. And they're going to say Timmons was the last one to touch it.
Husky fans don't like that call. They're all looking at the monitor in the gym, and they believe it was off Western Kentucky.
Brad Ferry was the referee who made the call. He's joined by Jimmy Cassis and Tony Padilla as the refereeing crew here tonight. Mike Hopkins, second year with Washington, took a 9-22 team and made them a 21-13 team in his first season and looking to improve upon it. As Eric Nelson called for the travel, and he'll immediately take a seat on the bench. Jake Omer comes in. How about the turnaround, though, and the immediate impact of a guy like Mike Hopkins, who spent his entire career in the Northeast at Syracuse, comes all the way across the country, recruits well, takes a team that was very bad, and a bunch of the same personnel turns them around, and now they're a top 25 team.
You know, I've always said coaching is part X's and O's and it's part psychology. You've got to come into a new program, change people's mindsets, give them new offense, new terminology, new value system. And he was able to do that in one quick year where guys really brought in and decided to play his style of basketball.
Long three by Tavion Hollingsworth, the sophomore guard from Lexington, Kentucky. Averaged 13 points as a freshman last year and the leading returning scorer for the Hilltoppers.
And he's got to let that go. Talking to Coach Stansbury this morning, he has the green light for the Hilltoppers, and he can really stroke it.
First lead of the game for the Tops. As Nas Carter knew immediately that that shot was nowhere near going in. Transition now. Hollingsworth again gets that one to rattle in. And a timeout on the floor taken by the Huskies. 5 in a row for Tavion Hollingsworth.
Right here, the man with the golden touch from downtown. Hollingsworth dials it in deep, and then in transition, a little stop and pop as the Toppers are on top early.
To put Western Kentucky on top 9-6 on the road at number 25, Washington. And Corey, last year, Hollingsworth, maybe not a guy well known around the country, but statistically one of the best freshmen in the nation.
Well, it's all about rhythm when you're a freshman coming out of high school. Do you get to keep your rhythm? Do you get to keep your shot selection? And obviously, Tavion Hollingsworth didn't miss a beat, playing a lot of minutes, getting some starts, and most importantly, knocking down a lot of shots for the Hilltoppers in his freshman year.
All those numbers you see there, WKU freshman records. And Tavion Hollingsworth, Mr. Basketball in the state of Kentucky from Lexington, one of 20 freshmen last year in the country, score over 500 points on the season as Jalen Noel lowers the shoulder and gets inside.
When you get your hands on a Mr. Basketball, you got to let him play when he gets to your program.
Noel, as a freshman last year, led the team in scoring with 16 points per game. 4 points here in this one so far. Josh Anderson, very aggressive inside, and Washington able to take the charge. It's Amir Wright, a sophomore from Albany, New York.
It's a lot of discipline for a big man to slide over, keep his hands up, and big men always want to make the blocks, but right there, sacrifice the body, take the charge, get the turnover for your club.
You look at Washington, you look where these players are from, you can almost tell which coach on Coach Hopkins' staff was the one who recruited them. He's got a couple of New York guys. Obviously, Hopkins spent some time at Syracuse for over 2 decades, and then he's got Cameron Dollar, who is a legend here in Seattle, 8-year head coach with Seattle University, was a UW assistant under Lorenzo Romar for a long time. Then you have Dave Rice, 4-year head coach at UNLV, and you see under each of these guys on their roster, New York, Seattle, Las Vegas, New York, Seattle, Las Vegas. They recruit well in their respective areas.
All hands on deck, recruiting by committee. And most importantly, they all play well, play together.
Let's not forget Will Conroy, former UW player, now assistant coach that Coach Hopkins calls a budding star. 3rd man on the bench. Zone defense wreaking havoc as Anderson has to regroup. Can't finish with the right hand, and Crisp is off to the races, a 3-on-2. Green steps into a 3. Offensive rebound, Amir Wright, and Crisp gets the second opportunity to go.
Good transition possession there by the Huskies, getting out on the rebound and getting 2 good looks from 3.
First field goal of the game for David Crisp, who has, along with Matthias Thybulle, in their 100th career games. All 4 of the seniors for Washington will be graduating in the winter quarter. Quite an accomplishment for this program. As Thybulle misses the 3, but a foul underneath on the loose ball rebound will go against Western Kentucky.
A lot of times in transition, they'll tell you that first look, go ahead and take it, because you got the big man trailing. They get the offensive rebound, and here's a second try from downtown. Crisp nails it, and the Huskies put up 3 points in a matter of seconds.
Toulouse Smith picking up the personal foul for the Toppers. Not too often you see a pair of guys on one team that have played 100 games in their careers. As Anderson picks up the foul, that's his second. So now the table's turned a little bit. It was early foul trouble for the Huskies with Thybulle and Dickerson picking up 2. Now Anderson has a pair for the Hilltoppers, and David Crisp to the free throw line. He averaged 12 points per game last season. Played high school at Rainier Beach here in Seattle with NBA star DeJounte Murray.
And Eric, I got to tell you, for Western Kentucky, this is exactly where they want to be in the early minutes of this game. Talking with Coach Stansbury, he was concerned that they'd get off to a poor start, turn it over, and get jumped on. But right now, taking control, taking good care of the ball. They've had some open looks and haven't knocked them down, but only down 3 in the early minutes.
Omer had his 3-point attempt blocked as Matthias Thybulle picks up his second block of the game. What makes him so good defensively?
It's that wingspan. He's got great anticipation, but at the end of the day, you think you're open or you think there's a passing lane, and then he whips one of those arms out there and it all disappears. He's just got great timing.
And he seems like he has the body composition that fits perfectly into a 2-3 zone.
2-3 zone, he stays down right there, out there guarding a point guard 35 feet from the basket, forcing the turnover. Matisse Thybulle, Defensive Player of the Year in my book already.
You mentioned that Western Kentucky has to be happy with their position so far early in this one, but the zone defense for Washington grinds people down. Look at that length that they have.
You look at those numbers and you can see if those guys line up in a 2-3 zone, there's not a lot of openings. The only way you can beat them is off the dribble, and they've all got great footwork and great discipline. They understand the principles of the zone, so you're not going to get past them, and it's very difficult to shoot over them.
Thybulle might have gotten away with a travel. Dominic Green, the senior from Renton, Washington, missing the three. Neither team shooting the ball particularly well, both under 36% from the floor. But you like, so far through 8 minutes, what Western Kentucky has done, at least to change up the rhythm and the pace of this game?
I do, and to be honest with you, if they were shooting it a little bit better, they'd be in the lead. They've had some good looks. They haven't turned it over. They've worked the zone. They haven't beat themselves. They're a very patient, very disciplined club. They just got to knock down a few shots.
Well, we talked to Coach Stansbury today, and he said, I really don't know what kind of team I have. This is a completely new team from last year, and we're going to figure it out as we go.
And I love that, Coach Stansbury being honest, as most coaches in college basketball would. And there's that man again from downtown, Hollingsworth.
Ends a 3-minute drought for the Hilltoppers as Tavion Hollingsworth now has 8 points. All tied up at a dozen. Amir Wright went left, finished right.
A nice one-on-one take from the top of the key. Got the freshman Bassey, got his feet moving, and was able to get past him.
Coach Hopkins really likes the potential of Amir Wright. He's a very versatile combo guard.
How often do you see this from the top of the key, one-on-one, 6'11", all the way to the rim with the finger roll? Huskies and the Hilltoppers in a close one.
Well, before even playing a game this season, a bit of a rocky start for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. You see all of the issues with 4 of their best players, frankly, as Hollingsworth and Anderson were arrested over the past week, even though they're playing in this one. Deshaun Murray did not travel with the team after his arrest on November 2nd. He's been suspended indefinitely. And then Lamont Bearden, they've known for a while that he was academically ineligible. They expect to get him back when the semester ends middle of December. But if you're Coach Rick Stansbury, Corey, you've got a young team, inexperienced, and these are headaches you don't want to deal with.
Absolutely. It's not the way you want to start the season, but more importantly, you want to set the tone for your team. Hey, we're all in this together. Guys that can't follow the rules and get in trouble, you're not going to be a part of what we're doing, and hopefully those guys will take advantage of that opportunity when they get back and rejoin the team and continue to produce.
Both Hollingsworth and Anderson, even though they are playing tonight, they did both sit out exhibition games. Noel, jump stop, pop, and a finish.
He can do it all. He can shoot threes. He's great in transition. He's got a nice mid-range game. And this year, he's more relaxed, picking his spots.
Played for Team USA in the 2015 FIBA Americas U16 Championships. International experience for him. Washington up by 4, nearing the midway point here in the first half. College basketball's opening day. 5 on the shot clock for the Tops. Delano Banton missing the corner 3. Transition 3 not there for Dominic Green, but that's what Western Kentucky was trying to avoid. Turnovers and transition offense by UW. Green rejected by Anderson, but a foul. Friday on ESPN, it's the 7th annual Armed Forces Classic, honoring America's heroes. Arkansas takes on Texas at Fort Bliss Military Base in El Paso. That's at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And like everything else, you can always watch it live on the ESPN app from anywhere you might be. First time the Armed Forces Classic has been played on mainland U.S. Very cool to have that in El Paso, as Josh Anderson picks up his third foul for Western Kentucky, and he goes to the bench. Jake Omer back in. Biggest lead of the first half for Washington. Do you feel like the Huskies are starting to settle in a little bit?
They're starting to settle in, take advantage of Western Kentucky miscues and mistakes. And that's why the Hilltoppers have to knock down shots and get good looks to stay in this game.
Jared Savage nowhere close on that one. Western Kentucky does also have 5 turnovers. It's helped out to a 12-2 run now for Washington. And Washington also in the bonus. Why do you like the Huskies to win the Pac-12?
I've always been a person who's taken experience over talent. I'm not a huge fan of recruiting classes. They can sell tickets, but they can't guarantee you wins. Give me the seniors that have all played 25-plus minutes.
Well, there's a sophomore that got plenty of minutes last year as he led the Huskies in scoring. Jalen Noel leads them again tonight, 9 points on 4 of 5 shooting.
The Pac-12 conference is 18 games, gruesome travel, hostile environments. I favor the upperclassmen. I tend to give them the advantage over the superstar newcomers. It always takes them a while to get the swing of things in the Pac-12 conference.
Charles Bassey back into the game for Western Kentucky. Take a look at the preseason poll. That's Bassey. And one on the inside will go to the line.
And that's why they're excited about Bassey right there. A simple drop step dunk. Inbounds play, he seals, steps in, and puts it on his head. Bassey with the nice two-hand jam. He'll shoot a bonus free throw. Great hands, great athleticism, and like we said, so quick off the floor.
One of the youngest players in all college basketball, missing his first free throw at the college level. It was Hamir Wright picking up his second foul. Under 9 minutes to play here in the first. Bassey with 4 points, 4 rebounds. Now we see Western Kentucky drop into a 2-3 zone. Crisp open in the corner. Crisp tracking it down and gets the pickpocket. And Noel cleans it up underneath.
Great opportunity for the Hilltoppers. They missed it though. They forced the missed shot, couldn't collect the rebound, and gave up a layup. They are in desperate need of a bucket on this possession.
Banton can't do it. Bassey the offensive rebound. Fouls on the floor against Washington. So far, at least on the offensive end, it's been a battle of sophomores. Jalen Noel for Washington and Tavion Hollingsworth for WKU.
Both players that know they have to score, stepping in for their teams.
Now Hamir Wright called for his third foul. So a lot of guys dealing with 2 and 3 fouls here in the first half. These coaches might be going a little bit deeper in their benches than they were expecting in game number 1.
It's a lot of hacking going on out there tonight. You know, guys got to move their feet, get in position, stop reaching.
Coach Hopkins for Washington told us, expect Western Kentucky to mix up their defensive looks, and they've switched into a zone now a couple times, and they get the steal by Bassey.
That's the second time that zone defense has paid dividends.
Banton lost it. Western Kentucky just keeps shooting themselves in the foot.
He had the whole world right there. Could have taken it in for the layup, tried to make a pass. Couldn't connect.
Washington up 23-14. Western Kentucky can't capitalize on the turnovers.
Welcome back to Seattle. Huskies enjoying a 9-point lead early. We're going to look at the life a day in the life of a big man. When you're a big man, you run rim to rim. That's all you do. And here's Bassey running clean down the middle of the floor, so wide open. And boy, did they miss an opportunity to get him an easy dunk. But he doesn't give up. That's his game. That's what you do. You run down the floor, you post up big, and your guards have to find you.
Well, we've talked about the missed opportunities on the offensive end for Western Kentucky. We've also talked about the 7 turnovers, but they also haven't gotten to the free throw line much. Bassey took 2 free throw attempts, missed both. That's all they've had as a team here in the first half, and it's something that was really their calling card last year, #1 in the nation in free throw attempt differential.
When you're getting to the free throw line, obviously that means you're drawing fouls and usually penetrating. But you've got to credit the Washington Huskies. They play that 2-3 zone. They keep everybody in front of them, so there's no need to foul.
There you see the differential. Clear 34 away from the next
Boy, that is a scary
team on that list.
That's a scary stat. When you see the teams that are on that list, you look at Duke, they're shooting 324 more free throws than their opponents. That is constant ball pressure where they're continually driving the ball, trying to create contact.
Sam Timmons, first foul. And it's one thing that Rick Stansberry, coach for WKU, acknowledged to us earlier today is like, it's not going to be easy for us to get to the free throw line against the zone, so we have to figure out different looks. We have to figure out what type of personnel we need on the floor and when, and how we can take advantage of and when they get into foul trouble. We've seen here early with Thibault and Dickerson already having to spend some time on the bench. And now Savage, the 3rd free throw attempt for the Hilltoppers.
Well, you know, Eric, the success to beating a zone is what you do after you beat your man. Once you beat your man, do you create an assist or scoring opportunity? And right now, Western Kentucky hasn't really penetrated that zone. They've passed around the perimeter of it, but nobody's put the ball on the deck and created a penetration drop. We had the early dunk, and that was pretty much it.
Noel, one dribble inside the 3-point line, a foul underneath. Basket misses. It's a foul on Washington. Noah Dickerson picks up his 3rd. So Dickerson, first team all Pac-12 last year, really limited so far due to foul trouble.
And he's got to be smarter than that. He's got too much experience to be laced with 3 fouls in the first half. I understand he wants to get in and have an impact, but when your coach puts you in and there's a few minutes left till halftime, you got to stay alive.
Averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds last season, just 2 points so far as he heads back to the bench. Western Kentucky can't help their cause at the free throw line. Toulouse Smith, the freshman from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, missing the free throw. Washington just 2 of 12 from 3-point range.
I was going to say that Western Kentucky zone paying some dividends defensively. Huskies have not lit it up.
Hollingsworth bounces off the heel. Neither team really able to capitalize and get anything going on the offensive end. We've been at a standstill for quite a while.
Well, you know, we were at shoot around this morning and watching Western Kentucky warm up. They've got some very long, lengthy type players that can get out and contest, and we already know the success Washington's had with their 2-3 zone, so not a lot of wide open looks for either team in this first half.
Noel, the scoring leader for Washington. Hollingsworth not far behind. The alley-oop, Nas Carter.
And that's Coach Mike Hopkins saying, you know what, enough with the threes. He calls the alley-oop to kind of set the tempo against the zone. Nothing wrong with a set play every once in a while.
Some energy in the Alaska Airlines Arena, but quickly thwarted as Toulouse Smith, the and one underneath.
And it all starts with the penetration. Right here, this is a set play. You come up high, and he just falls asleep on the back end. That's too easy. You got to keep a body, get some contact, get some ball pressure. Chris able to line that up. Beautiful play by the Huskies.
6-point game as Smith converts the 3-point play.
Hilltoppers feeling good in that 2-3 zone. 6-point game. They haven't shot the ball well, but they've done what they've needed to do to hang around.
Western Kentucky giving up open looks on the 3-point line, but The Huskies not able to convert, but an offensive rebound by Timmons leads to an easy lay-in for Naz Carter. It's been since 2001 since the Hilltoppers won a true road game against a top 25 team. Savage hits the three in the corner.
Boy, that was some really nice ball action right there by the Hilltoppers. They moved it around, got it inside, back out to the corner. That's how you break down the zone.
5 points for Savage, and now it's a 5-point lead for Washington. The Hilltoppers hanging around. Crisp, the turnover, threw it in between Thibault and Noel. Matt Horton, the junior forward, checking into the game for the first time for Western Kentucky. He adds some length in there.
Expecting big things from Horton. He's my buddy today at shoot-around. We had to get a picture together. I said, hey, buddy, you got a picture? Put it on Instagram. I need you to ball for me tonight. So he said he's going to get out here and make it happen.
Brian Penn Johnson is down in the middle of the 2-3 zone now for Washington. Turnover for the Huskies. Carter in the corner. Airmails it.
Boy, the Huskies are ice cold from the perimeter these last 4 or 5 possessions.
2 of 13 now from 3. Penn Johnson had a steal right in his lap. Couldn't hold on and then turns around and commits the foul on Horton. Our next NBA Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN has Joel Embiid and the Sixers at Bankers Life Fieldhouse to take on Victor Oladipo and the Pacers. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then it's off to the Staples Center in Los Angeles, where Karl Anthony Towns and the Timberwolves will take on LeBron and the Lakers. NBA Countdown begins at 7 on ESPN and the ESPN app. Horton, the transfer from Shelton State Community College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The JUCO transfer, eligible immediately. Makes it a 3-point game. Western Kentucky quietly clawing their way back in. Penn Johnson misses the bunny. Here's Hollingsworth on the left wing. Halfway in and pops out. Hollingsworth seems really dialed in here in game number 1. Picking up right where he left off last season. Just missed that one by an inch. Thibault. His 3 does the same thing. Someone take the lids off here, Corey.
Good looks, but contested.
Coach Rick Stansberry telling Hollingsworth, slow down, let's run some half-court sets. It's a 1-possession game right now.
1-possession game. They've had problems with turnovers. They've missed free throws, but mentally tough, continuing to work. You see good ball action as they swing it and dial up a 3. Savage.
Back-to-back for Jared Savage, the transfer from Austin Peay, who sat out last year. He's from 1 mile down the road from Western Kentucky's campus in Bowling Green. Hometown boy makes good. As Savage has 6 in a row for the Hilltoppers, ties it up at 27, and they're off again. Hollingsworth stripped. Crisp got a hand on it. Noel saves it from going out of bounds. Crisp driving left. Extra pass, Noel. 2 for 15, Washington from 3. Now look at the hands, Merrick Nelson, and 1.
And the Hilltoppers have come roaring back on the defensive end, getting stops, and then here in transition, they get it down the court, and this is great body control for the and 1. Western Kentucky on a roll.
It's been since 2001 since the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky went on the road and defeated a top 25 team. They didn't have to go very far as they beat Kentucky, who was number 4 at the time. And right now they're in the middle of a 13-2 run over the last 3.5 minutes on the road at number 25 Washington. And Corey, what has been the difference so far that has allowed the Hilltoppers back into this game?
Well, they've had some great perimeter shooting from Savage. They've gotten some buckets in transition. That 2-3 zone is solid, but what they've done is they found scoring opportunities before the Huskies have even had a chance to set up in that 2-3 zone.
And a big reason also, Noah Dickerson only has 6 minutes on the floor because he's got 3 fouls.
And that's huge because that affects your offense, your rebounding. He's an impact player, and right now, Western Kentucky coming out in a little bit of a trap just to shake up the tempo.
Deflected ball, Timmons picks it up. No look pass for the cutter as Thibault misses the reverse lay-in. Timmons got it back, blocked by Horton. Timmons has another chance at it, wrapped up underneath, held ball.
Boy, you look at the intensity with Savage and the rest of the Western Kentucky players. They want every loose ball, blocking shots. And there you see Noah Dickerson kind of out of sorts tonight. Hasn't had an opportunity to be on the floor, hasn't made much of an impact at all. And he's one of the team leaders for this Washington Husky ball club.
Tough for Dickerson. He's already dealing with a leg injury that kept him out of preseason scrimmage exhibition game against Nevada. And now limited with 3 fouls here in the first half under 2 minutes to play as Washington scoreless in the last 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Hollingsworth might have gotten away with a little travel before he started the dribble, but he will take the runner.
When you're that quick and you're a little guard, you get the benefit of the doubt. Might have been a shuffle, but he's so quick.
Got those tap shoes on. You used to dance like that, right?
Oh, many, many, many years ago, my friend. Many years ago.
Chris pulls up for 3. Three-point shot just not there for the Huskies.
And this is something that happens early on in the season before roles get established. You know, you get a cold spell and guys start playing hero ball where everybody's trying to make the big shot to get the offense back on track. The Huskies have had 5 or 6 different guys on the trigger and everybody's coming up blank. And right now, the Hilltoppers will go to the line just for being in the right position defensively to get the rebound.
So if you're Coach Mike Hopkins going into the half here at home, you've got Noah Dickerson in foul trouble. You've got your team shooting extremely poorly from 3-point range, 2 for 17. What adjustments do you make at the half?
Well, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but if I'm Coach Mike Hopkins, I think this is exactly what you want. Season opener, tough team at home. You've got some things you can fix, but you try to see if your older players can figure it out for themselves. I talk to a lot of coaches, they hate burning timeouts to educate guys. Hey, play through it. You know what's wrong, so fix it. If I'm Mike Hopkins at halftime, I'm telling my guys, turn it up defensively, fall out of love with the 3-point shot because it's not falling, and let's get the ball inside. Dominic
Green fell on himself, called for the travel. Turnover, number 5 on the Huskies. And for Rick Stansbury in Western Kentucky, has to be thrilled with this 6-point lead. As Stansbury calls a timeout, quick 30-second break, 1:08 to play here. 17-2 run for the Hilltoppers, and Tavion Hollingsworth, the sophomore stud, getting it done here in the first half.
You want to know why he has the green light? Check the stroke for the sophomore. In traffic, in transition, he lines it up and knocks it down. Not afraid to shine on the big stage here in Seattle.
10 points, 4 of 7 shooting, has a couple of threes. Set freshman records for the Hilltoppers in points scored, minutes played. Game started, he was ready to go as soon as he stepped on campus. Storied career at Dunbar High School, where he was Kentucky's Mr. Basketball in Lexington. Staying in his home state. Now a chance to make an impact for the team that was voted #1 in the preseason Conference USA poll. As Carter misses Washington's 11th attempt out of their last 12.
And if you're Carter, you got to get a better look against the zone. That's a fade away from the high post. Not the kind of offense Coach Mike Hopkins wants to see.
"30 seconds to go here in the half. Savage. What a first half for Jared Savage. 3 triples.
He is a bucket. He was shooting that before the ball was even in his hands. The last 3 looks all step in, knockdown threes for Savage.
6 seconds to go in the half. Largest lead of the game for Western Kentucky. Carter throws one up. Tried to bank it in. The Hilltoppers quieting the crowd here in Seattle. A 36-27 halftime lead as the Hilltoppers went 5 of 10 from 3. The Huskies couldn't buy a bucket from 3. What a first half for the Hilltoppers. 36-27 on the road against Washington. The half here in Seattle, Western Kentucky in town to take on UW. Eric Rothman, Corey Williams here with you. Pac-12 action on ESPN. And Corey, let's take a look at some notable upcoming games. First week of the season, and already Washington, Oregon, 2 Pac-12 teams, some tough early season tests.
I like that game at Auburn. You're going to find out a lot about your club on the road. Auburn, obviously tough, well-ranked. And that Oregon-Iowa looks like a trap game to me, taking that Pac-12 school out to the Midwest to play a very tough, physical Big Ten squad.
Well, Washington is not quite done here tonight. They still have another half of basketball with Western Kentucky here in Seattle. We'll be back for the second half after this. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers on top of the number 25 Washington Huskies here in Seattle. 36-27 at the half. As we welcome you back to the Alaska Airlines Arena alongside Corey Williams. I'm Eric Rothman, and Corey, really the backcourt for Western Kentucky. Jared Savage, Tavion Hollingsworth getting it done on that big run to finish the first half.
Well, we thought it was going to be about the big men, but it's been the guard play for the Hilltoppers that has made all the difference. Talk about that 2-3 zone. You need great guards to break it down, and that's exactly what's happened. Jared Savage, his eyes have lit up when he sees this zone. He's been knocking down triples, and he's been a huge boost for the Hilltoppers, stroking the ball. And his backcourt teammate, Hollingsworth, taking control off the dribble. He's so quick, great first step, floaters, buckets, fadeaways. He's also been a straight shooter from downtown for the Hilltoppers, and that's been the difference. You talk about that 20-2 run. They've solved the mystery of the zone and shot the ball extremely well.
Well, if you're going to make threes, you're going to solve the zone pretty quickly, as Savage, all 3 of his field goals were from three-point range, finished with 11 there in the first half. And Hollingsworth added in 10. The rest of the team had 15. Corey, for Washington, they finished the half 1 for their last 13, and it was a time of 6 minutes and 19 seconds. They only scored 2 points. And really, their offense, which was starting to hum behind David Crisp, Jalen Noel, all of a sudden just hit a wall.
Well, they've got to come back out and focus on defense, taking away those open shots, and let the offense come back to them. 20 minutes is a long time. It's a 9-point game. You've got plenty of time, plenty of opportunity, but it starts on the defensive end.
Well, let's not forget about the foul trouble. Noah Dickerson, 3 fouls in that first half. Big reason why Western Kentucky was able to get back into the game and take the lead was because Dickerson was on the bench for much of that late portion of the first half. Comes back in and immediately making an impact.
They go right to him. He takes it at the big fella with a nice jump hook. But I like the strategy by Coach Stansbury, coming out in an active 1-3-1 trapping type zone just to throw the Huskies out of sorts for a couple of seconds.
Timmons with the steal. 3-on-2, Crisp up to Thibault. Offensive foul on Matisse Thibault. And that's his 3rd now.
I like the aggression. You get the turnover in transition. You want to take it to the rack, but right here, he's clearly in good position. Vertical, takes the hit. T. Thibault picks up his 3rd, trying to force the issue for the Huskies.
Merrick Nelson takes the charge. So Thibault and Dickerson are hampered by foul trouble. Who needs to step up for the Huskies here in the second half?
Well, they've got, obviously, Jalen Noel can shoot the ball. Crisp can score as well, but it's going to depend on whether they can defend without fouling. This should be an easy one right here for the Huskies.
Timmons has done a really nice job to start the second half in the middle of that 2-3 zone, leading to that easy David Crisp play-in.
He takes up space and he hits the boards hard. Timmons playing a lot of valuable minutes tonight.
Crisp just 2 of 7 from the floor, but now Washington back within 5. Hollingsworth gets inside to the elbow. The freshman Bassey. And a loose ball foul against Western Kentucky. Would you like to see the Hilltoppers get the ball in the half-court sets more to Charles Bassey?
Well, right now they've done a great job in transition. Those open shots have been falling. Bassey hasn't really proven himself as a back-to-the-basket type player. So right now, with the lead, you want to keep doing what you're doing. No sense in changing it up.
Delano Banton picks up his 3rd. Here is Noel, the left-hand drive. Thybulle in the corner, and that's something that wasn't there in the first half. Washington went 2 of 17 from 3. Thybulle hits that one.
You talk about the draw and dish, and the Huskies have come out to start the second half and make a little statement here with defense.
Thybulle getting it done in the corner, just the 3rd triple of the game for Washington. Noel the assist. Huskies within 2. Well, the Huskies have listened. A 7-0 run to start the second half as the Huskies have went go, go, go here at home, rebounding from what was a 20-2 run for Western Kentucky to finish off the first half. And Corey, it's been defense leading to offense for the Huskies.
And that's always the key. Coaches drill that to their players. When you fall behind, you're not playing well, you anchor yourself on defense, and that makes all the difference.
Horton, another turnover, 2nd turnover of the half for the Toppers. And it leads to a transition 3 for David Crisp.
And there you see the strength of the Washington Huskies, erasing the deficit in almost 2 minutes into the second half.
10-0 run for Washington.
The Hilltoppers 0 for 3 with a couple of turnovers and had a shot blocked. Now it's 0 for 4.
Bassey got the offensive rebound and was fouled. Fouls on Jalen Noel.
At any other point in the game, this is not a great shot. You're 1 pass over half court, transition pull-up, but that's David Crisp, and he's feeling mighty fine.
Well, skip to my Lou action, huh?
Hey, you're trying to get the crowd back into the game. You know you haven't played well. You're going to go ahead and take that shot because the momentum is there.
He might want to work on the dance as the season goes on. That's an early season dance right there.
Yeah, you know, that's early. It's a work in progress. Work in progress.
So the Seattle Seahawks had a pretty coordinated dance on Sunday. And their game at home against the Chargers. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers were actually in attendance at that game. A former Hilltoppers basketball player now playing for the Seattle Seahawks.
What a treat for them to come in and go straight to the game as David Crisp starting to force the issue for the Huskies in transition.
George Fant, the Seahawks player, the former Hilltopper. The foul on Josh Anderson, that's his 4th. So talk about foul trouble for Washington with Noah Dickerson. Now Josh Anderson has hardly played in this game, just 7 minutes, only 1 field goal attempt. As you see George Fant there, sporting the Hilltoppers gear. Nice bonding experience for Western Kentucky, flying a little bit early, taking in an NFL game.
And he looks like he should have always been a football player.
Well, they say he put on about 60 pounds since he finished his basketball career and then became a football player as an undrafted free agent with the Seahawks.
So you see that more and more, basketball players finding their way into the NFL in some of those skill positions.
Washington basketball out of bounds. How long would it take you to put on 60 pounds?
Well, given the fast food industry and all that it provides, probably not long. But we're talking about a good 60 pounds. That'd take up to a year to build that kind of muscle.
0 for 5 from the floor for Western Kentucky here in the second half.
If you're Western Kentucky, you have to remember what got you here.
Ooh, goodness. Dickerson had his legs slip out from under him. Landed right on the hip. And the guy who's already dealt with leg injuries in the preseason slipped on a wet spot. Didn't seem like he got pushed, but a foul was called on Western Kentucky. I just thought he went in for the jump stop and slipped. Eric Nelson picks up his second. Noel, no look, Dickerson will go to the free throw line. Coach Hopkins wants a goaltend as one of the Hilltoppers hung on the rim before that ball fell off.
Turning that corner, there you see a great pass from Jalen Noel.
It's tough to tell. It did look like Nelson hit the rim. Whether it was intentional or not, he grazed it a bit. Referees denying Coach Hopkins' argument.
Coach Hopkins has to be pleased with the effort in the opening minutes of the second half for the Huskies. They fought back, they've created turnovers, they've established an outside jumper, they've gotten their big guy involved as well.
For those who maybe didn't join us right away, Washington is your pick to win the Pac-12, and why?
I like the experience, I like the returning play out front. I like Matisse Thybulle, David Crisp. I really like Noah Dickerson in the paint. And Jalen Noel is probably one of the best scorers in the Pac-12 conference. If they get on a roll, I think they're going to be very hard to beat.
Thybulle for three. Misses everything. Dickerson goes into the front row on the baseline. Charles Bassey's dunk ended a 13-0 run for the Huskies.
Well, it was pretty tragic in the first half for the Huskies, but they've turned it around, and they are dancing in Seattle. Huskies up 2.
Huskies came out flying in the second half, a 13-2 run to take the lead.
You talk about experience. When you challenge your team at the half, as I'm sure Coach Mike Hopkins did, they respond with crisp plays, execution, and they've got a lot to be happy about because they've turned it around here in the opening 4 minutes of the second half and totally changed the tempo and the momentum of this game.
Hilltoppers shooting just 1 of 6 from the floor. But to be fair to Western Kentucky, this is kind of what happened at the beginning of the first half. Got off to a slow start, took them a while, but they were able to grind out some offensive possessions, started getting some defensive stops, and figured out the zone a little bit. We really haven't said Savage's name or Hollingsworth's name at all here in the second half.
You're absolutely right. If you're at Western Kentucky, you've been here before. It's still a 2-point affair. You just got to knock down shots and take care of the ball.
Held ball will stay with Western Kentucky. It's just a matter of Western Kentucky forcing the ball inside a little bit too much.
Well, they've got to create looks for each other. You've got great guards that can penetrate and create for each other. Someone's got to break down that zone and sacrifice themselves to make an assist for someone else. And when you do get that open look, you got to take advantage of it.
Good seal underneath by Jared Savage. A foul on the floor against Jalen Noel. Friday on ESPN, a reminder that it's the 7th annual Armed Forces Classic, honoring America's heroes, as Arkansas takes on Texas at Fort Bliss Military Base in El Paso. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, available on the ESPN app. The first time the Armed Forces Classic has been played on mainland U.S. A very special event every year.
Great event. I love seeing those servicemen and women enjoying college basketball. Always great games.
5 on the shot clock. Savage pulls up for 3. He had 3 of those in the first half. Noel gets the long rebound, dumps it off to Thybulle, who misses the dunk.
Huskies couldn't capitalize on a 3-on-2.
Hollingsworth, little hesitation on the dribble and hits from 15.
He's so smooth and under control. Nice little floater.
12 points for Hollingsworth, leading scorer for the Hilltoppers, all tied up at 40. How about Timmons? Right place, right time. I'm not even sure if he touched it, but I think he's going to get credit for the basket.
Closest man to the tip-in gets it in the stat books. Believe me, I know. Happened to me a couple of times in my days.
Big smile on the New Zealander's face.
It's a free bucket.
That's right. Own goal by Bassey. Timmons, the Kiwi, gets the bucket. 9 on the shot clock. Good control underneath by Merrick Nelson. Didn't have the alley-oop, brought it down, took his time for the turnaround.
Yeah, so we talked about Hilltoppers matching the Huskies blow for blow. As you see the near steal right there by Hollingsworth getting in the passing lane. This is a tough squad.
Hollingsworth flying into the first row.
So here you see Bassey doesn't box out, kind of gets caught underneath the rim, and Timmons is there to tip it in. And at the other end, should have been an alley-oop slam, turns into a jump hook. Nice touch. And we're all tied up at 42.
Foul on Bassey. You left Western Kentucky shoot-around today. And he turned to me and he said, I think this is going to be a lot closer of a game than I thought it was coming in. How come?
Well, when I saw the intensity of shoot-around, and I saw how guys were dialed in, and I saw the wingspan of the players and their athleticism, I instantly knew this is a team that can get stops. And in basketball, it doesn't really matter how good you are on offense. If you can get stops, that's the true advantage, shutting the team that you're playing down. And they've done a good job of contesting some things and making life difficult for the Huskies.
They've dropped into this 2-3 zone a couple of times. It's been very effective, although Thibault gets loose on the baseline for that reverse layup.
You know, he's not known for his scoring, but he's got great body control. He's got a good outside shot, and right there, just kind of floats across the lane for the reverse layup. High degree of difficulty.
First ever Husky to win Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Did it last year in his junior campaign. Hollingsworth, another ball fake leads to another easy mid-range jumper.
Boy, he is out there just toying with people. His first step is so quick. You can't ask Noah Dickerson to close out on Hollingsworth.
Bassey the block. Thibault able to track it down after it was batted ahead by Savage. Now right for the Huskies. Dumps it off Noel at the elbow. Bassey starting to get a little bit more confidence, huh?
You see him kind of marking his territory and starting to impact the game. He's posting up strong. He's making his presence felt defensively.
He just turned 18 years old, one of the youngest players in college basketball after he reclassified. Great seal on the mismatch against Wright.
Oh, man, you are dead in the water. If you get sealed that deep under the bucket by Bassey, that's automatic 2 points. Great seal by the freshman.
Noel, crossover, beats Savage, easy leaner for Jalen Noel.
And that's the kind of offense Mike Hopkins doesn't have to draw up. Just get the ball to Jalen Noel. He'll create a good look for himself.
50% from the floor on 12 field goal attempts for Jalen Noel. Back and forth we go here in Seattle. Hollingsworth trying to get a whistle.
Oh, he got fouled. He should have got a call on that one.
Crisp saves it from going out of bounds, and Dickerson underneath to finish the 4-on-2. Timeout taken by the Huskies as they reclaim the lead once again. As Western Kentucky fighting back within striking distance.
Welcome back to Seattle, where the Huskies have a 2-point lead, but look at the instincts of the freshman Bassey. This is what you teach right here. Right now you got a big man who's got body and he's got size, but it's more important to have anticipation. As soon as the ball gets swung to his side, there you see the aggressive step in, and that's game over. Automatic 2 points, the ball goes inside, he's only a foot away from the rim. Easy 2 points. They talk about how great he is to coach and how he's such a quick learner, and that's what you see on a play like that.
8.7 rebounds in his debut. Charles Bassey, the freshman from Lagos, Nigeria originally, although he played his high school ball in Louisville, Kentucky, and considers San Antonio, Texas his hometown. A reclassified freshman, originally supposed to be in the 2019 class, moved to the 2018 class, number 18 on the ESPN 100. He was the number 3 recruit had he has stayed in high school one more year.
He's got great talent, great hands, good instinct, and he's coachable. That's the most important of the intangibles, is he can learn and is willing to accept criticism and learn how to post up and play inside. He's got a very bright future ahead of him.
Another jumper for Washington. This time it's David Crisp who answers Merrick Nelson's jumper on the other end. 8 ties, 6 lead changes, a huge 20-2 run to finish the first half for Western Kentucky, followed by a 13-0 run to start the second half for Washington. It's David Crisp, one of those seniors for the Huskies.
Starting to provide a different kind of leadership. This is just playground, crossover pull-up in your grill, 2 points. And he even wants to foul on that. Come on, David, calm down.
Crisp and Noel combining for 26 points. The rest of the team, 24. As Amir Wright picked up his 4th foul on the previous play. Nearing the midway point of the second half, the Hilltoppers looking for their first road win against a top 25 team since 2001 when they beat number 4 Kentucky. Would be a good start to their season if they could knock off number 25 Washington, who hasn't been ranked in 4 years. Dominic Green fighting for the rebound. Eric Rothman, Corey Williams here with you in Seattle. Pac-12 action on ESPN as Matt Horton called for his first personal. And it's really been, for Washington, 2 different teams when that man has been on or off the floor, Noah Dickerson.
All the runs for Western Kentucky have occurred with Noah Dickerson out of the game, and the Washington runs have occurred when he's obviously on the floor. And I don't know that that's a good thing for Washington. They're too deep to be that fragile. They should be able to play through those spells of foul trouble, because it's a long season and guys are going to get in foul trouble. And if that's your weakness, you got to find a way to play through that.
Well, Noel has played through it quite well as he puts the spin move on the baseline, and now Dickerson is hurt behind the play. He has slipped and fell hard a couple of times.
Looks like he took a shot to the face or neck. Letting the coaches know he took an elbow to the throat.
We're going to take a look at the replay and assess the foul.
Now there you see the made bucket. And yeah.
That's Horton who got the elbow up high on the chin of Dickerson. So we'll see what the referees come back with. Jimmy Cassis, Tony Padilla, Brad Ferry, the referees. You've talked about the difference when Dickerson's on the floor and off. On the offensive end for the Huskies, when Dickerson's been off, they've been forced to shoot more 3-pointers, and they just have been poor at doing that tonight. 4 of 21 from that distance.
Well, to be quite honest, without him in the paint, you don't have to really respect the post, so you can get out on guards and kind of challenge them to beat you off the dribble. The way that he posts up, the aggressiveness, he goes side to side, rim to rim, you always have to suck in defensively against him, and that frees up a lot of looks.
And he takes up a lot of space too. 6'8", 245. You see on that last play, fighting down low with Matt Horton on the rebound, even though the Noel shot did go in. Horton turned around, found his man, and popped him.
And that's going to be a tough call, because Horton kind of squared around, looked at him before he put the elbow in his neck. It's going to be hard to write that off as incidental.
I don't think they're going to.
Well, Horton took a look and sized him up.
So I believe that they just announced a flagrant foul on Horton. And now both Coach Hopkins and Coach Stansbury getting some explanation. And so Dickerson will go to the free throw line to shoot the flagrant 1 free throw.
Dickerson.
So now Washington gets Noel's bucket and adds to it with Dickerson at the free throw line. Huskies shooting 10 for 15 from the floor to start the second half. As you see Dickerson making both of his free throws, and the explanation for that flagrant 1 on Horton: excessive and or unnecessary contact, not a legitimate play on the ball, or a hold or push from behind. I think 1 and 2 applied on that one.
Yeah, obviously not a play on the ball, trying to box out.
And maybe that's what Dickerson needed to get going.
Got him going. It's been an up and down kind of night for Noah Dickerson. Limited minutes in the first half. Second half, he's got a few buckets, taking a few whacks, and got the Huskies out here in front.
Nine points in the second half for Noah Dickerson. It's an 8-0 run for the Huskies that stopped with Jared Savage making the runner off the glass.
And that's a tough play right there for Savage. They ran him off the three-point line. They're not going to let him get wide open threes anymore. But he says, you know what? I'll take it right to the rack, no problem.
Thybulle for 3. What a rebound effort by Hamir Wright. Came out of nowhere, and Huskies keep possession.
Well, that's just desire right there. The shot goes up. Everybody else standing and watching. Wright comes flying in to keep the ball alive. There's the shot. Nobody puts a body on him. And, man, he comes in and keeps the possession for the Huskies.
Trapped it against the rim. Should have been wearing a cape on that play. Here's Wright again. Tried to dump it off to Dickerson. Dickerson traveled.
That two-man game between your big men is not what you want if you're Coach Mike Hopkins. You got the 4 and the 5 out there doing a little Harlem Globetrotter stuff. You guys got to get it back to the guards. I know they're trying to look out for each other, but in a situation like that, get it back out top. Offense is clicking.
6-point lead for the Huskies under 9 minutes to go as Jalen Noel takes a seat on the bench. He has been spectacular, and a big reason why the Huskies have been able to control on the offensive end here in the second half.
Let's see if the Hilltoppers can continue to work against this zone.
They get it inside. Nelson had it tipped.
Noah Dickerson with the block. Get it back inside to the big fella. Reward him for the defense on the other end.
They get it to Dickerson. He goes up with the left. Bassey got a piece of it. Dickerson got it back. And make no mistake, Noah Dickerson is a man down low.
No one will work harder than Noah Dickerson in the paint this year in college basketball. He is a load.
Crisp got a hand on it. 6 to shoot now for Hollingsworth. And he was held on the drive by Crisp.
Well, we talked about it early in the game, and now you're starting to see the impact of Noah Dickerson dominating the paint with a first, second, and sometimes a third effort. Noah Dickerson doing all the work for the Huskies down low.
Champions Classic as the Jayhawks pick up the win against Michigan State, and that is not a misprint. Duke beats Kentucky 118 to 84.
And that's a big time problem If you're Coach Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats, you give up 118 points in only 40 minutes of play. There was no defensive effort being put forth. Not to take anything away from Duke, obviously, but that's way too many points for a team of Kentucky's caliber to give up.
Silly. 28-7 for Zion Williamson. Goodness, I can't believe it.
It's the first game, and like all these coaches are trying to figure out what they have and how it's going to work, and these teams will all look different, you know, a month from now, and then when they get into conference play after the new year. But to start out, you've definitely got some tape to watch.
Noah Dickerson has been a man possessed here in the second half. 11 of his 13 points in this half, gets a big defensive stop there. And a big reason why Washington has 30 points in the paint, as they are up by 8 with 7:20 to go here in regulation, as they feed the big man, Dickerson, against the freshman Bassey.
You gotta respect the wingspan and the hops of Bassey. If you don't get separation, he's gonna block your shot. And there you saw Dickerson kind of hesitating around him.
Offensive rebound for Anderson. And a foul away from the play will be on Charles Bassey. A turnover on Western Kentucky.
Bassey doesn't like the call, but it's the right one. Too often, big men try to post up with their arms instead of using their body, and he got caught swinging his arm, kind of caught Noah Dickerson in the face. Easy call for the official. 4
fouls for Bassey along with Anderson. For the Hilltoppers, Amir Wright has 4. Dickerson has been more disciplined here in this second half. All 3 of those fouls that he has came in the first half.
Well, you know, his back's against the wall defensively. If he commits any other fouls, he might as well just play the rest of the game. So there's really not a whole lot of pressure. Only one half of basketball, and you're not coming off the floor. So do your best.
Here's Dickerson again. Double pumps, got Bassey to bite, and Dickerson has 15.
Talk about the senior versus the freshman. Bassey extremely talented, but Noah Dickerson using that basketball IQ to do damage in the paint.
Anderson blocked from behind by Thibault. Crisp Euro step blocked by Anderson. Good recovery by the sophomore Josh Anderson, who got back on defense.
Here you see Noah Dickerson, the best in the business at sealing the defender behind him. And right here, knows he's got a shot blocker to deal with, gives him the head fake, and he scores.
10-point advantage now for the Huskies. Noel used that shoulder to get leverage. 15-footer rattles out. Second half has not gone well for Savage and Hollingsworth, who had a combined 21 in the first half, a combined 7 here in the second half, as Hollingsworth is blocked again as Thibault got another hand on it. 5 blocks for Matisse Thibault.
You think you're open, and Matisse Thibault says, no, you're not.
I thought he was supposed to be a steal machine. I didn't know he could block the ball, too.
Oh, absolutely. He plays out in front of that zone. When that ball goes to the high post, he's one of the best in the business at reacting to the position of the ball, creating turnovers.
UW history, he's 1st in steals and 6th in blocks. He will be climbing both of those lists, and I imagine will be leading in steals at this university for a long time to come. A 3 is a cherry on top of this second half for Dominic Green. It's a 13-point advantage for Washington.
And that's been a long time coming for Dominic Green. He's one of the better shooters on this Husky ball club. Hit a very big shot last season against top-ranked Arizona to knock them out. He is a clutch shooter, and there you see the defensive effort as he gets a block from behind. Huskies turning the defense up a notch here. Right here, good ball movement. He sets his feet, and he's one of those guys. He's a catch-and-shoot guy. If you're not in his face, you might as well add those up. And then right here, you love second efforts. You get beat, but you don't give up on the play. Come from behind, make a block. He's pumped up.
Jared Savage at the free throw line. Foul was on Green. That's his first. Green with 5 points, just 1 of 5 from the floor. But a couple possessions in a row, offensively and defensively, making an impact, extending this Huskies lead. As you see, Noel and Dickerson both with 15 points, leading the Huskies. 11-point advantage, 4:40 to go. Here in regulation, Thybulle. That'll be a foul on the floor, no basket. Saturday on ABC. This one's got college football playoff implications written all over it. It's the ACC Atlantic battle between number 2 Clemson and number 17 Boston College in Chestnut Hill. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. You can watch that game on the ESPN app. Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart. New NCAA college football playoff rankings are out. Clemson atop the ACC, looking to get back to the playoffs once again.
And that might be a trap game against Boston College. I always watch those showdowns, and for Boston College, they're going to go to a bowl game. But this is their chance to make a huge statement.
And that number 3 Notre Dame team, they have to go through number 13 Syracuse to finish the season. We're talking about trap games.
You are a proud alum, and I hate to tell you that I don't think that's going to be a problem for the Irish.
Don't sleep on the orange at Yankee Stadium. That'll be a big one.
Right now, the Hilltoppers have got to find some offensive rhythm those last 4 minutes.
Great defense by the Huskies this half. Crisp calling for it in the corner. Thybulle fighting for the rebound, called for the foul.
And you're right, Eric, that's been the whole story for the Huskies in the second half. They've cranked up the intensity. They've taken away the wide open threes. They've caused turnovers when guys put the ball down on the ground. They've just picked it up in so many different areas. And Western Kentucky had that drought, that stretch of time where they didn't get any buckets, and that allowed Washington to get out to this 13-point lead.
Thybulle picks up his 4th foul. As Dickerson trots back in. Thybulle saves it from going out of bounds after Bassey had a grip on it. Washington's next game, they will fly and play Auburn in just a few days. Number 11 Auburn will be an early season test for the Huskies, and they fly all the way back to Seattle 3 days later to play San Diego at home. Got some tough early season games. Second season for head coach Mike Hopkins.
Well, you know, they're not ducking anyone, and they know the Pac-12 is going to be competitive, but going out early, playing these big games, these tough outs, that's what you want.
Washington plays 8 teams this year that played in the NCAA tournament last year. 4 ranked, including Gonzaga, Auburn, Virginia Tech, and Oregon. That'll be a fun game, Washington and Gonzaga.
Be a very fun game. Bragging rights to the state.
11-point advantage for the Washington Huskies. Noah Dickerson taking control here on home court in the season opener for Washington. And Noah Dickerson, a new man here in the second half, Corey Williams.
Well, he's got 15 and 5, and he's only played half the game. Those are great game numbers, but if you look at how active he's been in the paint, posting up, getting to the rim, high percentage buckets, that's been the difference.
38-18. Washington has outscored Western Kentucky in the second half. Of those 15 points for Dickerson, 13 have come in the second half. All 3 of his fouls that forced him to only play 6 minutes in that first half have all but been erased because he's been very disciplined. He's gotten good positioning on the offensive end, and also hasn't been hesitant to make a difference on the defensive end either.
No, when you're in a situation like that, and you've only got one half to make good on some bad situations, you got to make the most of it. But the most impressive thing is only 18 points in the second half for Western Kentucky. With 3 minutes to go, the Huskies have kind of cut that productivity in half, and the Hilltoppers have not been able to find a consecutive solution offensively, something they can go to every possession.
Well, the opportunities dried up for Hollingsworth and Savage. who combined for 21 points in the first half and haven't done much here in the second half. Here's Savage, the 6th block by Matisse Thybulle. Saves it from going out of bounds. Reward him! Reward Thybulle! Homer missing the leaner. Bassey the offensive rebound. He'll go to the line.
Eric, I can tell you why Matisse Thybulle is the best defender on the West Coast, or you can see it for yourself. Look at that effort, and then you're right. Give it back to the big fella. Let him finish. The crowd's on their feet. That's 100% instinct and effort. You can't draw that up. He just goes out every night and makes plays like that for the Huskies.
In the first half, Thybulle had 0 points, 1 rebound, 2 blocks. In the second half, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 blocks. Make that 4 blocks. Saved it on the sideline. He is something else.
There are centers in college basketball that may get 1 or 2 blocks a night. Matisse Thybulle gets 3, 4, 5 sometimes because of his timing and his athleticism.
And if he could start clicking a little bit more on the offensive end, he shot just 3 of 10 tonight. He's an, I don't want to go too far. I'll hold myself. He could be one of the best players in the country because there are very few guys with his agility and athleticism who play defense with the intensity that he does.
Oh, absolutely. I was coming in the gym earlier today, and he was shooting before the game and made 5 or 6 threes in a row, and I turned to him and said, yeah, it's easy to make them when there's no defense on you. And he just kind of looked at me and winked and just made another 5 in a row. He's a great shooter, and you're right. Once he gets that jump shot consistent from the outside, he's already a great player. He'll be an excellent player then.
Noel makes it a 15-point game for Washington. As you see Thybulle's career numbers, 205 steals, 109 blocks coming into this game, adding to both of those stats and looking to become just the second Pac-12 player other than Gary Payton to have 300 steals in his career.
And not to be cliche, but he just has a nose for the ball. He anticipates well, great reflexes, and doesn't hurt to have that over 7-foot wingspan.
Loose ball, Dickerson got it. A foul on the floor before the dunk. You're not going to want to miss the 7th annual Armed Forces Classic Friday on ESPN, honoring America's heroes. The Razorbacks of Arkansas taking on the Longhorns of Texas. That's going to be at Fort Bliss Military Base in El Paso. It's the first time this event has been held on mainland U.S. Usually they play it on an aircraft carrier. This one will be played at a military base at 7 Eastern, 6 Central on Friday. You can watch that game on ESPN or the ESPN app. Take a look at all the former sites of the Armed Forces Classic. Germany, Honolulu. And now in El Paso. South Korea, Puerto Rico, some other locations. Dickerson now 17 points, 5 rebounds. Fighting on the defensive end to knock every interior pass loose he can. Got a block there. What a defensive pairing Dickerson and Thybulle.
Great timing, and even with the foul trouble, still not losing any of his aggression, going after plays, making things happen.
Up by 17 for Washington, and they've shot just 5 of 25 from 3.
Not the prettiest win here for the Huskies, but they'll take it because, like we talked about, this is a point where you want to learn about your club, and they corrected themselves at halftime.
Second half, a completely different story for the Huskies. Savage misses another one. Him and Hollingsworth have gone cold here in the second half.
I got to give a lot of credit to Western Kentucky. to come in here and give it to the Huskies for the opening 20 minutes. Not a lot of teams are going to come in here and find themselves up 9 against this team, but they got a lot to be proud of, and they've got a great start to what I'm pretty sure is going to be a good season for them as they're picked to finish first in their conference. It's going to be a great year for them.
Washington showing you why they're in the AP Top 25 for the first time in 4 years. Coming out and taking care of business in their home opener, but it will not get any easier as they go on the road to take on Auburn. Number 11 team in the nation, as Washington looking for more non-conference signature wins to start the season and make a case for what Corey Williams says will be the team left standing at the end of the season for the Pac-12.
That's my pick, and I'm sticking with it. Huskies, 4 seniors, lots of scoring, great defense, great coach. I think they'll fare well on the road in conference play.
For Western Kentucky, they'll play UT Martin in a few days, and then it's off to the Myrtle Beach Invitational where they will play Valparaiso. And if they win, possibly a matchup against West Virginia. So some tough tests for both of these teams as Washington proves their worth in game number 1. What a debut for the Huskies here at home. 73-55, the final score over Western Kentucky as Matisse Thybulle and Noah Dickerson lead the way on the defensive end. Dickerson also tacked on 8. On offense, Jalen Noel had 13. 73-55, your final for the number 25 Washington Huskies. And for Corey Williams and our entire crew, I'm Eric Hoffman saying thanks for watching as Washington shows you why they're in the top 25 and in the conversation for the best Pac-12 team in the conference. Stay tuned because the college football playoff top 25 is next. Good night from Seattle.